There's a silent violence in being alive. Not the kind people talk about. Not war, not blood, not tragedy on the news. That your existence needs to justify itself. That if you stop moving for too long, the world will expose you as useless. That if you don't become something, achieve something, leave something behind, then your life dissolves into nothing. And maybe that's why you're tired. Not physically, spiritually. Because carrying the weight of meaning every single day is exhausting. You were taught to fear irrelevance before you even understood what life was. As a child, they asked what you wanted to become, never who you were beneath all the noise, never whether existence itself was already enough. From the beginning, your value was tied to movement, grades, work, status, productivity, relationships, ambition, performance. You weren't allowed to simply exist. You had to justify your presence here. And over time, you internalized it so deeply that now, even in moments of silence, you feel guilty. Guilty for resting, guilty for stopping, guilty for not optimizing yourself into a more acceptable version of a human being. The modern world worships motion because stillness reveals too much. If you sit quietly long enough, you begin to notice the terrifying truth underneath everything. Most of what controls human life is imaginary. Money only has value because everyone collectively hallucinates its importance. Status only exists because insecure people need witnesses. Success is a social ritual built on comparison. Even identity itself is unstable. You say, "This is who I am," while your thoughts change daily, your emotions mutate hourly, and your body slowly replaces every cell until even your reflection becomes unfamiliar. Yet somehow, you still pretend there's a permanent you hiding inside all this movement. There isn't. There's only experience happening. A temporary arrangement of memories, fears, instincts, biological impulses, inherited trauma, social conditioning, and chemical reactions pretending to be a person. Here is the darkest thing, the part no one says out loud. You did not choose to be born. You were never consulted. A biological accident occurred. Consciousness ignited inside matter that had no intention of becoming conscious. And then the world handed you a script and told you to perform gratitude for the experience. You woke up inside a life already in progress, in a body you didn't design, speaking a language you didn't choose, inside a culture you never agreed to, with fears already installed before you had the intelligence to question them. And from that position, from that fundamentally unasked for position, you were expected to build a meaningful life or be considered a failure. That is a breathtaking demand to place on someone who never asked to exist. We live only to fight against death, and in the end, we always lose. Everything else, the ambition, the relationships, the accumulation of things and memories and status, is elaborate distraction from that single, irreversible fact. The coffin is already built. Your name just hasn't been engraved yet. The only unknown is the timeline. And somehow, knowing this, people still argue about career choices, social media metrics, and whether they said the wrong thing in a conversation 3 years ago. If everything really mattered to the extent you imagine, life would be unbearable. And that's not nihilism, that's mercy. The human mind cannot maintain the full weight of reality at all times, so it edits. It zooms in on the trivial to avoid seeing the vast. It invents urgency around things that will be completely irrelevant in a decade. It treats social embarrassment like a survival threat and genuine existential terror like something to process during a 10-minute meditation session and then return to productivity. The universe is not a story with a point. It is approximately 93 billion light-years across, contains an estimated 2 trillion galaxies, has existed for 13.8 billion years, and has never once paused to consider whether you are having a good day. The sun at the center of this solar system, the thing that makes all life here possible, the thing cultures across history worshipped as a god, will expand into a red giant in approximately 5 billion years and swallow this planet whole. Every book ever written, every building ever constructed, every war ever fought over land that will be vaporized, every love letter, every masterpiece, every grave, every monument humanity ever built to convince itself it mattered, gone. Not archived, not remembered by anything, simply erased. 500 years from now, almost nobody will remember your name. 5,000 years from now, the language you're reading this in will likely be dead or unrecognizable. In geological time, humanity itself is a brief film of bacteria on a wet rock orbiting an unremarkable star. The dinosaurs ruled this planet for 165 million years. Humans have existed for roughly 300,000. We are the newest tenants in a building scheduled for demolition, arguing about the decor. And strangely, disturbingly, there is something that feels like relief inside that realization. Because if nothing persists, then nothing was ever asking for your perfection. The demand for meaning was always a human invention. The universe didn't create you with expectations. It didn't create you in any purposeful sense. You are what happens when matter gets complicated enough to become briefly aware of itself. A temporary eddy in an indifferent current. Life is a return to nothingness. At birth, we are already dying. Some sooner, some later. The moment your cells began dividing, the countdown began. You are not moving toward death. You have been in the process of dying since your first breath. Every birthday is not a celebration of beginning. It is a marker of how far the process has come. Most people cannot hold this thought for more than a few seconds before the mind produces a distraction. That reflex, that flinch away from the fact of your own ending, is perhaps the single most powerful force shaping human behavior. Every religion is an answer to it. Every empire ever built was an attempt to outlast it. Every child born to parents who wanted to leave something behind is a negotiation with it. Every great work of art is a person screaming into the void before the void swallows them. And the void swallows them anyway. Buddhist philosophy understood this with a clarity that Western culture has spent centuries trying to medicate away. Suffering does not come from loss. It comes from attachment to what was never stable to begin with. But modern culture teaches the opposite. It tells you to hold tighter, brand yourself harder, build a stronger identity, accumulate more, control more, become more, as if anxiety is a problem solvable through expansion. It isn't. The ego is a hungry machine. Feed it success and it demands legacy. Feed it legacy and it demands immortality. Nothing satisfies it for long. That's why people achieve everything they thought they wanted and still lie awake at 3 a.m. feeling hollow. The mind always moves the finish line. Always. The real horror of time is not death, it is transformation. Everything keeps becoming something else without asking your permission. You are not the same person who began reading this. The cells are different, the thoughts are different, the fears have shifted in ways so gradual you didn't notice them moving. One day you play a song you used to love and you realize the person who loved it is gone. Not dead, gone. Replaced by the current version of you, who also will not survive the next decade intact. You have already lived through the deaths of several versions of yourself. The child you were, the teenager you became, the person you were before the thing that changed you. These are not metaphors. These are genuine losses. People you once were, now permanently inaccessible. You cannot return to them. You cannot warn them. You cannot hold them. This is what people mean when they say grief for no reason. It is not depression necessarily. It is the slow dawning awareness that life does not pause to let you catch up to it. Your parents are aging while you're distracted. Friends slowly become strangers across the distance of different choices. Entire chapters of your life end not with ceremony, but with the quiet last time you do something without knowing it's the last time. The last time you see a person, the last time you feel a certain way about something, the last time you are who you currently are. There is no announcement. That's what makes it brutal. Look carefully at what you actually control. You did not choose to be born. You did not choose your brain chemistry, your early fears, the family that shaped your nervous system before you had the cognitive ability to evaluate them. You did not choose the language that now structures how you think, the culture that invisibly defines what you consider normal, the historical moment into which you were dropped. Most of your thoughts arise without your permission. Most of your emotional reactions happen before your conscious mind can intervene. You cannot stop aging. You cannot permanently hold love in any form. You cannot negotiate with time. So what precisely are you controlling? Very little. And once that settles deep enough, not as a passing thought, but as a genuine recognition, something unexpected happens. The panic begins fading. Not because the facts change, but because maintaining the illusion of total control is itself an exhausting performance. You are spending enormous energy pretending to be the author of a story that was already in motion when you arrived. The truth most people never say aloud: most people are not living. They are defending themselves from life. They stay busy because silence exposes them. They fill every quiet second with stimulation, music, notifications, scrolling, noise, because encountering themselves without distraction has become genuinely frightening. Beneath the constant entertainment, beneath the performance of having opinions about everything, beneath the carefully maintained social identity, many people carry a profound emptiness they cannot name. Not dramatic enough to collapse them, not mild enough to disappear, just a low, persistent ache. The ache of knowing that something is missing without knowing what. And the cruel answer is that nothing is missing. The ache itself is the experience. The discomfort is contact with reality. Most people interpret this feeling as evidence that they haven't yet achieved what they need to achieve, haven't yet become who they need to become. So they accelerate, they optimize, they take more courses about self-improvement, make more plans, and the ache remains, because the ache was never caused by lacking anything. And it comes from the friction between how consciousness works and how human culture has decided to use it. You were given a mind capable of contemplating infinity and asked to apply it to quarterly performance reviews. That mismatch does not resolve through productivity. Consider what language does to experience. Before you had words for your emotions, you still had them, but you couldn't separate yourself from them long enough to observe them. Once language arrived, you gained the ability to stand back from experience and narrate it. And that narration became so automatic, so constant, that most people now live inside the story about their life rather than inside their life. There is the experience, and then there is the commentary on the experience happening simultaneously, and most people have lost the ability to tell which is which. This is why people can sit at a beautiful table with people they love, eating food they enjoy, and feel nothing. Because they are not at the table. They are narrating the table, evaluating whether this moment matches the idea of happiness they were sold, documenting it for other people's consumption, planning the caption. And the actual texture of the moment, the warmth, the sound, the fleeting specific reality of it, passes through them unregistered. You have been trained to experience your life as content, as something to be processed, packaged, and presented. And in doing so, you have placed a permanent glass wall between yourself and everything that actually happens to you. Most people are homesick for a present moment they were standing inside while it was happening. Here is something nobody explains about loneliness. It is not the absence of people. You can be the loneliest you have ever been in a crowded room, at a dinner table, inside a relationship. Loneliness at its deepest is the experience of being unable to transfer the inside of your mind to another person. You can speak, but something essential in the translation gets lost. You can be heard, but not understood. And eventually, most people stop trying to fully communicate the strange interior weather of their consciousness, because the gap between what they feel and what language allows them to say becomes too discouraging to keep crossing. So people perform a version of themselves that is easier to receive. They flatten the complexity, they make themselves more legible, and then they sit inside their flattened, legible version of themselves and wonder why they feel unknown. This is the loneliness that doesn't have a cure, the kind that exists not because you lack connection, but because consciousness itself is ultimately private. Every human being is having an experience that no other human being can fully access. You will die having been partially unknown to everyone who loved you. That is not a failure of intimacy. That is the structure of being a separate mind inside a body. Here is what impermanence actually means when you take it seriously, rather than using it as a Zen aesthetic. The person you love will die, not as a concept, as a fact. Whoever is closest to you, whoever you would be most destroyed to lose, is currently dying at a rate of approximately 1 day per day, and there is nothing you or they or anyone can do about that rate. The conversations you have with them are finite. The number of times you will see their face is a specific number, and it is decreasing. Every goodbye has a statistical probability of being the last one.
Most people cannot hold this, so they don't. They tuck it away and let it make them vaguely anxious about nothing they can identify, and then they wonder why intimacy sometimes feels desperate underneath the surface. Taking impermanence seriously does not mean becoming morbid. It creates a kind of ruthless attention to the present moment that no philosophy seminar has ever replicated. When you genuinely understand that this is limited, the quality of your presence in it changes completely. Not as a practice, not as a technique, as a consequence of seeing clearly. Temporary things gain sacredness precisely because they end. A conversation, a touch, a quiet morning, someone staying a little longer than expected. These are not consolation prizes in the absence of permanence. These are the only prizes there are. Impermanence is not what makes life meaningless. Impermanence is what gives life emotional weight. If everything lasted forever, nothing would matter. There would be no urgency to love, no tenderness and nostalgia, no grief, and therefore no beauty. Mortality sharpens experience into something almost unbearable in its intensity if you let it. The problem is not that life ends. The problem is that humans demand permanence inside a universe built entirely from change. And that demand, that refusal to participate in the terms of existence, is the source of most suffering that is not caused by direct physical pain. There is a particular cruelty in being human that separates us from every other known form of life. We are the only creatures aware enough to understand that we will die, but not wise enough to not be destroyed by that knowledge. A dog does not lie awake in existential dread. A tree does not mourn its own autumn. Only humans received the cognitive gift of self-awareness and then had to figure out how to survive the consequences of it.
Every other animal lives inside the present moment by default. Humans have to fight to get there, and most never do. Consciousness, which feels like the most precious thing you possess, may also be the heaviest thing you carry. You can simulate futures that haven't happened. You can replay pasts that are finished. You can inhabit other people's perspectives, feel grief for strangers, dread events that are years away. No other animal wastes energy this way. And no other animal suffers this way. From thoughts, from imagination, from the mere anticipation of pain that may never arrive. Most human suffering is manufactured in the mind. This does not make it less real. It makes it more tragic, because the factory never closes. Peace does not arrive because things improve. Peace arrives when you stop negotiating with the nature of reality. Not as resignation, as clarity. The pressure you feel to become something is not coming from the universe. The universe has no position on your career. The stars are not tracking your progress. The ocean does not mourn your failures or celebrate your success. The 14 billion years of cosmic history that preceded your existence occurred without any reference to your plans. You invented the courtroom in which you stand every day being judged, and you appointed yourself both prosecutor and defendant. Nothing was ever asking for your perfection. Only humans invented that demand, and only humans suffer from it. Real spiritual awakening, not the kind sold as wellness content, is violent. It does not comfort you, it destroys. It takes the self you spent years building and reveals it as a construction. A story stitched together from other people's expectations, early childhood adaptations, cultural inheritance, and the fear of being nothing. Mystics across every tradition kept arriving at the same unsettling conclusion. The separate self is not as real as it appears. What you call I is a river pretending to be a stone. And in moments of genuine stillness, not the performed calm of someone who meditates for their productivity, the usual mental identity loosens. Beneath it, there is only awareness. No title, no story, no status, just presence. Raw existence before language contaminates it into something manageable. In those moments, life stops being a problem to solve. It becomes something else entirely. Movement, breathing happening, grief happening, wind happening, time happening. No central controller, no final destination. The universe endlessly transforming itself through temporary forms, including you, especially you. That sounds cold. It is the opposite of cold. The coldness is the performance. The coldness is spending your entire life treating yourself as a project to be completed. The warmth
The thing people spend decades searching for in relationships and achievements and substances is already present in the moment before you decide to become something. You were made of the same matter as stars that died billions of years before your planet existed. The iron in your blood was forged in supernovae. You are, in the most literal sense, the universe examining itself through temporary eyes. And what it sees, what you are, is not a failure in progress or a success delayed. It is existence itself, briefly conscious of its own existence, which is perhaps the strangest and most extraordinary fact in all of reality. You are here, not forever, not for a reason the universe has officially sanctioned, but here, which is more than almost everything that has ever existed has managed. And maybe, not as consolation, not as false comfort, but as the most honest thing that can be said, maybe that is enough. Not because it leads somewhere, not because it secretly makes sense, not because the suffering will be redeemed, simply because it is happening, right now, in this specific arrangement that will never occur again. Between two voids, there is this. There is you, reading this, somewhere in the universe, briefly aware. And the universe, indifferent, enormous, temporary, beautiful, continues around you, not knowing you exist, not needing to, while you carry the impossible weight of consciousness through a life you didn't ask for and cannot keep. That's the whole story. There is no other version. And for some reason, we stay.